So we're going to split the hair from pretty much the highest point of the head to just the back of the ear roughly. I'm going to do exactly the same thing here on this opposite side. So I'm going to come down the head like that, and that's going to give you nice clear visual to work with. And then all we do is we take a section that runs either side of the parting, so comb the hair forward, and we want about 1 centimetre of hair one side of the part like that, and then we want 1 centimetre of hair the other side of the part like that. Chrissy has her hair roughly in the middle most of the time, so always do it where their natural parting falls. So there we go, that's our section. Then what we're going to do, we're going to elevate this hair straight up out from the head shape, and you can angle it like that if you want to, if that suits your needs, or you can hold it straight up and you can change your finger angle. Whichever one comes first really. Pick up the section, angle your finger forward just like that, and then cut a square line. I'm going to cut off roughly what was grown because it was really nice last time. Cutting this 45-degree angle, elevation straight up. Once you've cut that very first section, then you can split that section into two. So we've put the hair back into what is the natural part, and then we'll take a section that runs horizontally across the head like that, approximately 1 inch or so further down the head. And then we're going to stand on the same side, so if you're a right-hander, you'll stand on the right-hand side so that you're cutting up towards the ceiling. You can cut down if you can. I find it very difficult to cut down a long graduation like this. And we're going to over-direct the hair towards the centre parting. So it's good to check in the mirror that the hair's moving towards the centre. And I'll show you on the next section what that will look like, because they'll be a little bit more exaggerated. But then you'll get a better sense of how much you're over directing the hair in each. So it depends on the thickness of the hair. You can disconnect this section, and that will obviously leave more length, more weight in the perimeter, but it all depends on kind of how you want to go. Judging by how much hair is there, I don't think I did leave a disconnection, probably just cut it in to the section because it's roughly the same amount of hair that I've cut off each of the sections. But let me look at the over direction from the front here. So we're going to over direct the section, all of the hair now, into that middle part. Finger angle the same, and cutting that 45-degree line up towards the ceiling like that. Super simple. All you then do is repeat exactly the same thing on the opposite side. Now what I will say is, if you're a right-hander, you probably want to stay on the right hand side. So there's a couple of things you do need to think about then. Is that, are you over directing the hair away from you? Because what the tendency is to pull the hair towards you now, scoop the hair this way. So elevate the hair straight up, finger angle 45 degrees, cut a square line. Same again on this section. You've just got to make sure that we're over directing the hair to the middle. This retains weight and length in the opposite direction. All over direction does exactly that. So we're pushing the hair in one direction, it means it's getting longer in the opposite direction, e.g. towards me in this particular instance. And we're also, obviously, by extending the length out, we're also extending out the amount of weight we leave on the perimeter. You could do this and pull the hair straight up from the head into its, what we call natural fall, I suppose, where it's over here. You would cut off more hair and more weight from the perimeter. If you wanted that look, then that would be the way to do it. I always like to protect the length, then I can come back and remove weight if I need to, and remove length if I need to afterwards, rather than being kind of tied into the shape. You know, it gives you options in terms of what you do. Okay, so now what we need to do is connect the back to the front. Really simple. What you do is take some of the front section that you just cut, about 1 centimetre roughly, and you incorporate it into the back, just like so. You just take a section straight down the back, as we did in the front, and with the hair at the front as our guide, we're going to cut a diagonal line up towards the ceiling. So there's our guide, and we're going to come in just above our guide, and we're just going to work our way up gently, gently, gently up towards the ceiling. And what we don't want is as much layer in the back as we've got in the front, because we want to just keep the back that little bit heavier. There's a lot of hair, but we don't also want to make it thinner through the back here. So we're just going to gently work our way up through the back. And then all we do is we simply repeat everything that we did on the front section. So we're going to take our next section about 1 inch or so below that section we took, split the section down the middle at the back, elevate the hair up, slide our fingers just past the section and work in a very, very steep cutting style up towards the ceiling. And then this will be our final section, and we don't need to take the section all the way to the perimeter, because this hair will not reach the top of our section. That hair will fall away before we get the section to our cutting line. And I'll show you that exactly in just a second. So here's our section, here's the longest point of our section. That hair is never going to reach this hair, so it doesn't matter that it's going to fall away down through the bottom here. Again, we're going to over direct the hair into the centre, finger angle, 45 degrees, and cut a line up towards the ceiling. Simples. This is just such a fantastically effective haircut as well for speed. You know, you can cut a long graduation in no time at all. Elevate the hair up, push it into the middle. Everything goes into the middle. It's fractionally longer towards the edges, but not by a lot if we cross-check it in the opposite direction. Okay, so we've dried it out all smooth. What we're going to do is just take vertical sections straight down, elevate the hair straight up from the head, hold it at 45 degrees. Just the same way we cut it, and we're just going to go through and just take away just a little bit of that bulk, because this is really, really thick hair. And we just want it to sit a little bit more lived in. That'll just help it to be a little bit more manageable as well. We don't necessarily need to do this in the back, but we can just continue straight through to the back. You can just do this in a oneer. We don't necessarily need to split the hair at the highest point of the head and all that jazz at this point. You can just hold your section, and then as you get halfway through your section roughly, you just need to reframe it a little bit and then work your way up. And remember, because we did the back slightly differently, we slide cut through the back. There's probably no need to kind of adjust the back really, because it's a different kind of technique. It gives it a little slightly more lived in look anyway through the side here. Always just like to go back and quickly make sure that everything's going to be easy to wear for people, you know, not going to have any lumps or clumps or bumps or things that they kind of can't manage because you didn't do the refining process. I think it's so important just to go in and refine everything afterwards. Like so. Gives you kind of a chance to kind of cross-check it a little bit as well. You're not cross-checking as such, but you can make sure that everything's sitting nicely and the colour's looking good and everything's happy days. Right, and there we have it. This is it. Done and dusted, lovely long graduation, an absolute salon classic, one of my favourite haircuts to do in the salon. In fact, probably 95% of my long layers have some sort of long graduation incorporated into them somewhere along the line, whether it be just long right at the bottom or alternatively something that's right up by their cheekbones, creating beautiful curtain bangs or fringe or whatever you want to call it through the front there. This is somewhere in between the two. Chrissy hasn't got any other kind of layers in her hair apart from the long graduation that we travelled in through to the back, but it does create some layers in the back. Because you're cutting on that steep 45-degree angle all the way up to the ceiling, the layers that you put in the back are a lot softer and a lot longer, so that's great if you've got clients with finer hair. Chrissy's hair is quite spongy, quite boingy, so we could end up overlayering the back and actually feeling a bit kind of hard to manage and jumping up, so it's probably a good reason. It's definitely a good idea to kind of take things like that into consideration. Obviously, the client's got to go away, or Chrissy as a hairdresser herself, still got to manage her own hair. We don't want to give her a haircut that's hard to do, and she really enjoyed the last time we did a long graduation, so we didn't want to change it too much. But hopefully that gives you a bit of insight into one of the other ways that you can use long graduation. It all stems from that good old-fashioned shag haircut that we're loving at the moment. Obviously, those haircuts will come and go, but the long graduation will always be there, and this is the ultimate way of cutting that long graduation without the need of pulling the hair out forward and then going back in and doing a drastic amount of point cutting. As you saw, we just did a light bit of refining and it sits beautifully. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again very soon.